এটা তো ঢোকাতে হবে, এটা তো না খুললে হচ্ছে না, তাই এটা খুলতে হবে তাহলে। এই যে এটা তো এটার সঙ্গে আছে না, এটা তো পাশে ক্লিয়ার পাচ্ছি না তো। হ্যাঁ, প্রেসিডেন্ট স্যার নমস্কার। নমস্কার। টেস্ট না অমিতাভদা লিডটা ডট করছে। অমিতাভদা এটা তো এইভাবেই ঢোকাতে হবে তো।
হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে,
তাই না, উল্টো দিকে নিশ্চয়ই নয়।
না না ও যাবেই না, রিড করছে না।
রিড করছে না। জি এটা হচ্ছে ওই ইয়ে আর কি, ওই
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
ব্যাপার হলো
অ্যাকচুয়ালি এরকম হওয়ার
এরকম কথা নয় না। দেখবেন
না, আমাকে একটু দেখাও তো, আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি না কিন্তু এটা তো
আমাকে দিন করে দিচ্ছ।
এক মিনিট এক মিনিট এক মিনিট,
না ঢুকবেই না।
না এটা ঢোকার কথা না, এইটাই আসছে, দেখাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ এবার দেখেছি,
ও তাহলে উল্টোই হচ্ছে।
উল্টে গেছে না, ঠিক আছে। কোথায় চলে গেল আবার?
কোনটা?
আর দেখাচ্ছে না তো, কিছুই করে দিতে হবে। নিচেরটা ওইটাই আছে, কপি করে
ডেস্কটপে দিয়ে দেবো।
ডেস্কটপে দিয়ে দিই। হ্যাঁ ব্যাস।
হ্যাঁ নাহলে চলবে না,
হ্যাঁ
ঘুমোবে।
হ্যাঁ ঘুমোবে। প্রোগ্রাম পেয়েছেন তো, আপনার একটা ভাষণ আছে শুরুতে, আপনার একটা ছোটো ভাষণ আছে শুরুতে, প্রোগ্রাম পেয়েছেন তো? হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে।
মানে আমাকে
আর এই ফোল্ডার করে দেবো নাকি?
বের করে দিন না, ঠিক আছে বের করে দিন।
দেখে নাও এবারে। আর কোনো ব্যাপার নেই, চলবে। খুলে ফেলেছে যখন তখন চলবে।
এটা খোলাই থাক, তারপর এইটাকে ব্যানারটা হচ্ছে এইখানে আছে,
একটা পিডিএফ এ আছে।
পিডিএফ আছে এটাই।
এটা ফুল সেন্স করে দেবো।
পাওয়ার পয়েন্ট নেই কেন, পিডিএফ
স্টপ শেয়ারিং ওটাকে অফ করো।
না সব অনলাইন চলছে,
PDF
ওখানে
আছে।
অনলাইন
ও।
ওখানে দেখছি বাইরের লোকে।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
কাছাকাছি বসো। এই এই দিক এই যে সিমন একবার এসো।
No sound. Sound is absent.
A very good afternoon and warm welcome to the 4th Pradip Kumar Roy Memorial Lecture, jointly organized by the Department of Civil Engineering, IIESTShibpur, and Global Alumni Association of our institute, GAABESU. I am Sneha Murmu, faculty member of this department, welcoming all the audience who have joined this event off and online. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you in this seminar. As you all are aware, the topic of today's lecture is about engineers for sustainability. We are immensely grateful for having the eminent engineer, Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal, as a speaker in this seminar. He is an inspiration and a role model for all of us. We once again welcome you and thank you for participating in today's event. To begin with the inauguration, may I start with inviting the honorable dignitaries on the dais. Please join me welcoming the dignitaries with a huge round of applause. I request the Honorable Director in Charge, Professor Prashanta Kumar Nondi, to come to the dais. I consider it a great honor to welcome Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal to grace the dais. Now I invite President of GAABESU, Mr. Amitabha Dotto, to come to the dais. We now look forward to the Head of the Department, Civil Engineering, Professor Choitali Ray, to take her chair on the dais. I request our student, Ms. Shimon Naguri, to felicitate the Honorable Director in Charge with a bouquet of flowers. I would like to request Mr. Dijoraj Pal Choudhury to welcome the speaker, Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal, with a bouquet of flowers. Next, I request Shimon to present flower bouquet to the President of GAABESU. I request Dijoraj to present flower bouquet to the Head of the Department, Civil Engineering. Now, I would like to invite the Head of the Department, Civil Engineering, Professor Choitali Ray, for welcome address.
Good evening, Honorable Director in Charge, Professor Prashanta Kumar Nondi, respected President of Global Alumni Association, IIESTShibpur, Engineer Amitabha Dotto Sir, distinguished Speaker, Engineer Amitabha Ghoshal Sir, respected members of Global Alumni Association and other distinguished guests on and off the dais and also attending through online mode, respected Engineer Shishir Kumar Banerjee, former President, Institution of Engineers India, respected Professor Arun Kumar Dev, other respected teachers present here, my esteemed faculty colleagues, deans, and my dear students. I am privileged to welcome you all to the 4th Pradip Kumar Rai Memorial Lecture, jointly organized by the Civil Engineering Department and the Global Alumni Association, IIESTShibpur. The very relevant topic, Engineers for Sustainability, Case Studies on Bridges, will be delivered by the eminent engineer and bridge specialist, Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal Sir. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Global Alumni Association for generating the endowment fund to conduct Pradip Kumar Rai Memorial Lecture jointly with the Department of Civil Engineering every year, and thus providing us with an opportunity to pay homage to our respected and beloved Professor Pradip Kumar Rai. Professor Pradip Kumar Rai, an acclaimed professor with rarest and unique personality, was born in Chinsura, Hooghly, West Bengal, on the day of 5th December 1943. He passed out higher secondary examination in 1960 from Hooghly Collegiate School and secured first position in the district and 13th in the state. He graduated from the Department of Civil Engineering of erstwhile Bengal Engineering College in the year 1965. Soon after his graduation in 1965, Professor Rai joined as Senior Fellow in the Teachers Training Program. Subsequently, he obtained his master's degree in the Department of Civil Engineering in 1967 with University Gold Medal. In 1968, he was selected as a lecturer in Civil Engineering Department through Public Service Commission, Government of West Bengal, as B College was then a state government college under Calcutta University. And the journey of a great professor was started to contribute to his alma mater with his extraordinary intelligence, versatile talent, brilliant decision-making capacity, and stupendous ability to handle all types of circumstances related to academic and administrative matters. In 1975, he went to IIT Roorkee and the then Roorkee University for his PhD in QIP program and obtained his PhD degree in geodesy in the year 1979. Professor Rai continued his service as a faculty member in this department till 31st December 2003. He was the head of the department during 2000 to 2003. He also took the charge of registrar, professor in charge of student activities, PIXA, accounts officer, the president athletic club, so on and so forth. And he managed all the responsibilities with utmost sincerity and efficiency. Sometimes he took charge of 2-3 posts simultaneously and tackled all adverse situations with extraordinary competence. It needs a special mentioning about his leadership to form a proper shape to the Board of Joint Entrance Examinations as well as the Central Selection Committee, West Bengal. Even after his superannuation, he was closely associated with this department as a visiting professor as well as the external expert in the doctoral committees in civil engineering for rest of his lifetime. From 2003 to 2014, he was also involved as advisor in various private colleges in Kolkata and Hooghly. He was specifically exceptional in all aspects. Here, I wish to share my personal feelings and observations as I have seen his uniqueness as a teacher and as an administrator. I got the opportunity to see him for the first time in the departmental welcome of the fresher batch of 1985, myself being a fresher in 1985. Professor Rai recited a wonderful poetry about B College civil engineering students, and I got to know about the brilliant sense of humor of a professor, which was really amazing. Got many more instances thereafter. His teaching, all his students know how exceptional it was. He had an extraordinary ability to explain apparently complicated topics so easily and effortlessly that his teaching learning process was a real wonder for us. He had been always accessible to his students and to his junior colleagues in academic or non-academic matters. Basically, he was an instant problem solver of any kind of issue with bare minimum effort. Not only in his specialization of geodesy and surveying, but also he was the master of all subjects in civil engineering. He guided PhD thesis of another eminent and very renowned teacher, Professor Shoibal Ghosh, and a faculty member, Professor Devabroto Mojumdar of environmental engineering specialization. Countless friends, students, colleagues were thus benefited by his selfless and untiring help, heartfelt sympathy, and active support. I got my respected teacher as a senior colleague from 1998 to 2003. In that tenure, there was some kind of administrative crisis, and he offered his relentless service day and night towards the solution to get back normalcy of the institution. Whenever there is problem, Professor Rai is a solution maker. It was really a mystery that he never seemed to be overloaded with all his responsibilities. Everything was very easygoing for him. He seemed to enjoy his work, and it was always reflected on his glowing and ever-smiling face. This was only possible for his selfless character, liability towards professional ethics, and boundless love for alma mater. I remember the last interaction with my beloved professor in the year 2014. He came to the department as an external expert of some doctoral committee. He was not looking well. I asked, "Sir, you are not looking well. Any health problem?" He said very casually with his signature smile, "Nothing serious, having some digestion problem. Doctor has suggested some restriction on food. Let's see." Probably he didn't know about the deadly disease in his body that time. Within around 3 months, I came to know he is no more with us. The day was 12th of September 2014. His greatness, his love for alma mater, and overall contribution to the institute cannot be depicted with words. It is only a feeling from the core of our heart. All his friends, students, colleagues can feel only these feelings and who were acquainted with him. He was not a careerist professor, rather a great soul who offered his entire life as a homage to our beloved alma mater. Thank you all. Namaskar.
Karo.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for enlightening us with the extraordinary life of Professor Pradip Kumar Roy. Now I request President of GAABESU, Mr. Amitabha Dotto, to brief about the Pradip Kumar Roy Memorial Lecture.
I say, good evening. Now, I am here as a president of GAABESU, but the most attracting situation for me is to be here for the 4th Pradip Kumar Rai Memorial Lecture. We used to, in our college days, I was here from 69 to 74. So in our college days, he was probably the most popular and most friendly professor we had during that 5.5 years. And he was the only person with whom we can talk on any subject, including, out of the academics. And just yesterday we were talking about some of our friends, about Pradipda. So the issue was that he was something beyond a professor, he was something beyond a friend. It is a pleasure for GAABESU to organize such a seminar along with the civil engineering department. I am also coming from the civil engineering department, so naturally it is a more pleasure. So I will not talk much of him, and I will also not waste much of your time. I will just say simply what is GAABESU, mainly for the students. GAABESU is a global alumni association of the institute, and our main focus is to make a connect between the students now, who are the budding engineers for the future, and the connection between the already alumni and the yourself. So it is always welcome to be in touch. There are a lot of programs like a Scholarship Award, Excellence Award, and then Students Connect program. In fact, tomorrow there is a Student Connect program at 8:30 online, where there will be 4 speakers. I am also one of them. That is about the consulting business or consulting engineering, how is the future and all. There will be series of such programs. So I request you all to be, to be present, to try to be online. And you have an opportunity of exchanging your views. There are a lot of opportunity for making questions, not that a one-sided. there are options for questioning, so you can exchange. And this is what is GAABESU. I will not say much of thing, but only opportunity, another opportunity I have, that Mr. Ghoshal, Amitabha Ghoshal, whom I again associated since my graduation in 74, and we worked for 40 years together, 40 years together. And I completed 50 years of our graduation this year only. So it was Mr. Ghoshal with whom I started my career in BBJ, then STUP Consultants. And of course, I will, as I told you, I will only look forward to hear. Once again, I have heard hundreds of times from him, but I am sure all will enjoy his presentation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Although our director, sir, couldn't come due to some pre-scheduled event, the presence of our director in charge, Professor Kumar Nondi, is always a moral boost for us. And I thank him for making his presence despite his busy schedule. I request the director in charge to address the audience.
Good afternoon. Professor Amitabha Ghoshal, speaker, distinguished speaker, having President, Head Civil Engineering Department, other distinguished guests, my dear colleagues and students. I'm happy that every year Civil Engineering Department jointly with GAABESU organize this memorial lecture as a day scientific seminar. I can share you something with Professor Pradip Kumar Ray. Career when we joined this institute as a deemed university. The place that is seen in the image is exactly we used to see his familiar. We are very much familiar with this space, very often. And as already pointed out by our head, that he holds several administrative positions, not only in that BE College, but also deemed university, then full-fledged university. I think before full-fledged university, he retired in December 2003. He was registered in our institute for a long time. He was also associated with Professor in Charge Student Activity, PIXA. Then I think he also that time took responsibility in the Joint Entrance Board, and also in the transformation. He used his experience, administrative experience, to this latter stage of transformations of this institute. He contributed a lot, not only to the department, but also to our institute as a whole. So very often, when we meet, then he was very frank and asked some questions related to my chemistry even. She was very much curious in various topics and subjects. So with these few words, I think I'm sure that you will enjoy this lecture, and also if you can share with some memory with that beloved Professor Pradip Ray, with his few words. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We are pleased to inform you that we have a batchmate of Mr. Ghoshal. Mr. Pradip Mukherjee is present with us today. I would like to request him on the dais and share his memories with Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal. He is the alumnus of batch 1965 Civil. He retired as Chief Engineer from Kolkata Port Trust. Sorry, he is the batchmate of Pradip Kumar Rai. So please.
নমস্কার, উপস্থিত সবাইকে আমার আন্তরিক অভিনন্দন এবং শুভেচ্ছা। প্রয়াত অধ্যাপক শ্রী প্রদীপ কুমার রায়, যার স্মরণে আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠান, এইটা ওকে। তার ছাত্রজীবনের একজন সামান্য সাধারণ সতীর্থ হিসেবে আমাকে তার সম্বন্ধে বলতে বলা হয়েছে, কিছু স্মৃতিচারণ করতে বলা হয়েছে। আমি এই জন্য এই অনুষ্ঠানের যারা অর্গানাইজার তাদের আমার ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আমি অল্প কিছু কথায় আমার সেই প্রয়াত সতীর্থ বন্ধু প্রদীপ রায়ের অসামান্য চরিত্রের উপর কিছুটা আলোকপাত করব। প্রদীপের সঙ্গে আমার পরিচয় 1961 সাল বিই কলেজে ভর্তি হওয়ার পরে, এবং তারপর 4টে বছর এই কলেজের হোস্টেলে তার সঙ্গে আমার ওঠা বসা, মেলামেশা যাই বলেন। প্রদীপ প্রথম দিন থেকেই, সেই সময়টা তো ছিল একটা অদ্ভুত সময় আমাদের, এটা সবাই আমরা বোধহয় শেয়ার করব, যে এই কলেজে পড়াটা আমাদের জীবনে, প্রত্যেকের জীবনে একটা সন্ধিক্ষণ বলা যায়। সেটা ছিল আমাদের কৈশোরের দিনগুলো শেষ হয়ে যাওয়ার পরে সেখান থেকে নিয়ে আসা কিছু বকেয়া কিছু ছেলে মানুষই, সেটাও ছিল। আবার অন্যদিকে ভবিষ্যৎ জীবনের প্রস্তুতি, কর্মজীবনের প্রস্তুতির তাগিদ, সবই একটা অদ্ভুত সময়, যে একদিকে পড়াশোনার চাপ, আরেকদিকে হোস্টেল জীবনের আনন্দময় পরিবেশ। এই সব কিছুর মধ্যে প্রদীপের ছিল একটা উজ্জ্বল উপস্থিতি, ও সব কিছুতেই ছিল, এবং সদা হাস্যময়, খুব হালকা মেজাজে সে থাকতো, হাসিটি সবসময় মুখে লেগে থাকতো। আমি কোনোদিন ওকে রাগ করতে বা অভিমান করতে আমি দেখিনি। পড়াশুনো সে কখন করতো কেউ জানে না, আমরা কোনোদিন, আমি অন্তত তাকে পড়াশুনো করে মানে একবারে সময় কাটাতে দেখিনি, বরং দেখেছি যে আমাদের যারা সহপাঠী ছিল অনেকেই তার সাহায্য চাইতো, সে ভালোবাসতো সবাইকে, সাহায্য করতে অদ্ভুত বন্ধুবৎসল একটা চরিত্র। নিজে যখন পড়াশুনো করতে আমরা দেখতাম না, আমি জানতাম না, আমরা জানতাম না, সব সে জানতো। অদ্ভুত জ্ঞান, সব বিষয়ে ও যেন সব কিছুই তৈরি করে বসে আছে। আমাদের অনেক বন্ধুরা তারা ওর কাছে সাহায্য নিত, বিশেষ করে পরীক্ষার আগে ওর ঘরটাই একটা ক্লাসরুম হয়ে যেত এবং সেখানে ভিড় করে ওর লেকচার শুনত। আমিও গেছি। তখন ওই সাদা দেয়ালটা হোস্টেলের ঘরের, ওটা ছিল তার হোয়াইট বোর্ড। আমাদের অনেক বন্ধুরা তারা পরীক্ষায় বৈতরণী পার হয়েছে ওর হাত ধরে, প্র্যাকটিক্যালি ওর হাত ধরে। এবং এমনকি দু একজন সিনিয়র দাদাকেও দেখেছি যে ওর কাছে এসে দুরূহ অঙ্ক বুঝে নিত। এই ছিল প্রদীপ। ক্লাসে প্রফেসররা প্রত্যেকেই ভালোবাসতেন তাকে, প্রত্যেকেই তাকে চিনে যেতেন। তার সঙ্গে দুটো কথা বললেই বোঝা যেত তার ভেতরে কি আছে। বিশেষ করে আমি মনে পড়ে আমার প্রফেসর সন্তোষ ভট্টাচার্য, জিওডেসির প্রফেসর। ওর জিওডেসি সাবজেক্টটা খুব ভালো লাগতো এবং ভালো পারত। প্রফেসর সন্তোষ কুমার ভট্টাচার্য তিনি ওকে খুব ভালোবাসতেন। অবশ্যই তার ভালোবাসাটা কিছু বোঝা যেত না, তিনি খুব গম্ভীর প্রকৃতির মানুষ ছিলেন। আমি একটা ছোট্ট মজার ঘটনা বলে আমার বক্তব্য শেষ করব। জিওডেসি পরীক্ষা হচ্ছে, সেখানে 6টা অঙ্ক, সেই 6টা অঙ্ক বসতে গিয়ে আমরা হিমশিম খাচ্ছি। প্রদীপ 6টার মধ্যে 6টা অঙ্কই তার কষা হয়ে গেছে। এবারে হাতে অনেক সময় সে কি করবে, সে খাতার নওয়াটার পেছনে একটা টেবিল এঁকেছে। সেই টেবিলটার ওপরে রোতে কোয়েশ্চেন নাম্বার, মার্কস অ্যালটেড, মার্কস অবটেইন লিখে কলাম টেনেছে। কোয়েশ্চেন 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, নিটনেস, মার্কস অ্যালটেডের ঘরগুলো ভরিয়েছে নিজে 16, 16, 16, 16 করে, তারপর 4, টোটাল মেরেছে 100। পরে যখন খাতা ফেরত এলো, প্রফেসর খাতা দিলেন, আমরা দেখলাম যে প্রফেসর ভট্টাচার্য নিজে ওই ফাঁকা ঘরগুলোতে মার্কস অবটেন্ডের ঘরে নিজে 16, 16, 16, 16 করে 4 করে 100 লিখেছেন। তো এই ছিল প্রদীপ। একদিকে অদ্ভুত একটা সারল্য, শিশুসুলভ সারল্য, আর অন্যদিকে অসাধারণ প্রতিভা। এই দুটোর একটা অপূর্ব মিশ্রণ। এছাড়া আমরা যা দেখেছি যে সে গান ভালোবাসত, সঙ্গীত ছিল তার অদ্ভুত সহজাত একটা ব্যাপার। যন্ত্রসঙ্গীত বাজাতে পারত একাধিক, আর মজার মজার শব্দ বসিয়ে নিজে গান বাঁধত, প্যারোডি বানাতো, এবং সেগুলো শুনিয়ে আমাদের কত আনন্দ সে দিয়েছে। আজকে আমার সেই প্রয়াত অসাধারণ চরিত্রের বন্ধু প্রদীপ রায়ের স্মৃতিতে রইল আমার অকুণ্ঠ শ্রদ্ধা, ভালোবাসা, প্রণাম। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you, sir. We are grateful for your gracious presence and your willingness to share your memories with us. Now let me invite Professor Subroto Chakraborty, faculty member of this department, to say a few words about Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal.
Thank you, Sneha. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce today's speaker, none other than our beloved and famous alumnus of this institute, Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal. Though Mr. Ghoshal needs no introduction to the civil engineering community of our country, still it is customary to do so. So I will try to brief about today's speaker. Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal is an illustrious alumnus of BE College, studied from 1953 to 1957. He is one of very few of our alumni who participated actively in organizing the Golden Jubilee of our college in 1956 and also in the celebration of 150 years in 2006. And we can remember, sir, we have the opportunity to work with you at that time, and we really learned certain organizational capability during that time. Though I was a quite junior faculty at that time. He still participates actively at this age in various activities of our institute. He is the driving force in regularly organizing online global meet of his 1953 batch to cherish nostalgic memories of campus days. On a personal side, famous Ghoshal Badi of Ariyadh, North 24 Pargana is the ancestral house of Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal. His father being a professor of Dhaka University, he had his initial schooling at Dhaka till the shifting of his father to Calcutta in 1947 as a professor in Presidency College. He continued his school education in Scottish Church College. He did his intermediate science from St. Xavier's College before being admitted in BE College Shibpur. After graduation, he joined BBJ, where he worked for 21 years. Before starting Calcutta Regional Office of STUP Consultant, he worked for a brief period of 2 years in Metal Box. He was Director STUP Consultant for a long period and was heading the Kolkata office, and for some period both the Kolkata and the Delhi office. Even after his retirement, the organization STUP wanted to have his expertise and made him an advisor to the board of directors. So that shows his importance in the profession. During his long period, he worked in many projects in almost all the states in India and many countries abroad. He groomed many engineers who became eminent experts in their field in the later stage of their career. He is an active fellow of the Institution of Engineers India and also actively associated with many professional bodies as a fellow member like the Indian Road Congress, the Institute of Civil Engineers UK, the American Society of Civil Engineers, Consulting Engineers of Association of India, Institution of Structural Engineers, and many others. He is one of the few who are actively contributing in the Apex IRC Committee on Bridge as a member for a very long time. He is also a convener and chair on some of the committees and member of many IRC committees on bridges. He is presently leading an all-India team of experts constituted by IRC for preparation of guidelines for steel bridges. He is an outstanding bridge engineer with a comprehensive vision of various engineering aspects of bridge. For his knowledge and expertise, he has been made a member or chair of various government-appointed committee on bridge. His remarkable contribution to the restoration of hardened bridge in Bangladesh was well appreciated and highly acknowledged by the government of Bangladesh. He has studied closely many remarkable bridges around the world, and he has an in-depth knowledge of bridge in Kolkata. And I am really astonished to see when I have some opportunity to work with him in his team as a member, and he was the chairman of this KMDA Bridge Advisory Committee, and we are really surprised to see that the detailed knowledge he has about most of the bridge in Calcutta. And his remarkable technical article on Howrah Bridge, included in the commemorative volume of 200 years of ICE UK, is indeed an article all civil engineers should read. Thank you, sir, for providing on such an article on our Howrah Bridge. And a long-time active member and chair of Eastern and Northeastern region of Center of Consulting Engineers Association of India. He is a governing body member of CEAI for several years. During his tenure as the president, he organized many excellent national and international programs, including very useful training programs for serving engineers. Under his leadership, West Bengal State Center of Institute of Engineers India organized many outstanding programs. It is worth mentioning his leadership to a joint venture of West Bengal State Center of Institute of Engineers, CEAI, and Indian Association of Structural Engineers in successfully organizing a useful program on multiple facets of cable-supported infrastructure with a thrust on practical aspects in December 2023. His recent contribution to FIB on behalf of IEI is really praiseworthy. Under his leadership and active participation, the West Bengal Center of the ICI, a conference of FIB was organized in Kolkata, which was highly appreciated by the participants from India as well as from abroad. He presided over the GAABESU for 2 years as the founder president and is still actively associated with GAABESU. He has traveled extensively within India and abroad. His travels have always been with the eye of an engineer to search for novelties and innovations. For a very active, well-connected person with a vision in the professional field as he is, age has never been limiting in providing his precious input wherever requested. We are fortunate and extremely happy for his positive response to our request to deliver the 4th Pradip Kumar Rai Memorial Lecture to celebrate the life of a great engineer and illustrious alumni of the institute who contributed immensely to grooming many students, and I feel proud I am one fortunate one of those of his students. The choice of the topic for the today's lecture, Engineers for Sustainability, Case Studies on Bridge, is really very relevant in the present context and will surely benefit all the participants. I don't want to take much time, rather you feel the greatness of today's speaker. Sir.
We are highly honored that Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal is with us today. All of us are eagerly looking forward for his lecture. Hence, without any further delay, I invite distinguished engineer Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal to start his talk on the topic Engineers for Sustainability, Case Studies on Bridges.
Well, it's a great privilege for me to have been invited to talk for the 4th Pradip Kumar Rai Memorial Lecture. I must mention that I had known Mr. Pradip Kumar Rai after his college years, after his almost he has retired, but I had known him through the Institution of Engineers activities, where he was quite enthusiastic, just as I learned today about everything in college. He was also very enthusiastic about the activities of the Institute of Engineers. And when GAABESU requested me to deliver this lecture, I was very happy that I could recall my association. But after accepting this lecture, I could understand how beloved he had been to his students and to colleagues, because even after I have accepted this lecture, I got number of communication from my erstwhile colleagues and also friends whom I know, who sort of wrote to me even that we are so happy that you are delivering this lecture. I will read out an excerpt from an ex-colleague, Goirik Mujumdar, who is working in Australia now. He sent me a mail today. Prof sir, I am sorry I am reading out the Bengali extract only. Prof sir, P.K. রায়কে আমরা পেয়েছিলাম বলে ভাগ্যবান মনে করি। ঘোষাল দা, অমিতাভ ঘোষাল, আপনি এবারে ওনার মেমোরিয়াল লেকচার উপস্থাপনা করছেন, এটা আরও আকর্ষণীয়। লাইভ স্ট্রিমিং হলে অবশ্যই দেখতাম, অনেক শুভেচ্ছা রইল। Now, for a teacher to be remembered by a student, maybe after 30 or 40 years, is something exceptional. And as I understood from the head of the Department of Civil Engineering, that he was equally loved when he was in college. Thank you, GAABESU, and thank you, Civil Engineering Department, for giving me this opportunity to come and talk in his memorial. I am also extremely thankful to my friends, associates who are attending this lecture, and particularly to students. You see, I have delivered lecture here a number of times, but I have never seen people standing or sitting on tables for attending the lecture. I feel very sorry that they are not having a comfortable seating. I will seek your indulgence to be able to talk sitting. Instead of talking from here, I will sit there and talk with your permission. I will, while delivering the lecture, I will do that.
ল্যাপটপটা তাহলে এখানে নামিয়ে দিই।
Can I operate with this?
ইয়েস স্যার, ইয়েস। এই তো এটা আছে স্যার, এটা দিয়ে হয়ে যাবে। না এটা দিয়ে কেন? আচ্ছা।
দাঁড়িয়ে বলবো?
না না স্যার, বসে বসে। এবার এটা দিয়ে হবে স্যার।
এবার করে যাবে?
হ্যাঁ।
এখানে দিয়ে হবে? হয়তো এখানে?
না না না।
I'm sorry.
অন তো করাই আছে। এইটা হচ্ছে কিন্তু
Okay,
এটা
if it cannot be done, I will.
স্যার এটা অ্যারোগুলো কাজ করছে না। আগে করে হচ্ছে। এটা আমি করেছি।
Let me continue if you can do
Yes sir,
something
you
else.
start. I can.
একটু দাঁড়াবে ঘোষালদা,
Okay, by that time.
ঘোষালদা ওই জাস্ট এটা না ওই এই ফরম্যাটে নিয়ে গেলে না এখানে একটা গন্ডগোল আছে ছোট।
Oh. Yes. করা যাবে? হচ্ছে?
লাইটটা চলছে কিন্তু স্যারকে দিন তো ওই পয়েন্টারটা না আগে পরে হচ্ছে না স্লাইড।
আমার কোনো অসুবিধা নেই।
তো সুবিধে হবে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ
তার আছে তো অত?
হ্যাঁ আছে।
ঠিক আছে আমি
দেখি
স্লাইড চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে স্যার।
এটাতে স্লাইড চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে কিন্তু ওইটা দিয়ে তো হচ্ছে না।
আপনি
well, while we are trying to do all this, এটা on আছে। হ্যালো হ্যাঁ fine. Sorry for this delay. Well, as I was mentioning, you know, it's the theme of today. When I was given the freedom to choose a theme, I chose this theme, Engineers for Sustainability, and basing on case studies on bridges. You see, sustainability is a much used word today. Am I audible at the back? Okay, okay. Sustainability is a word which we hear very often, and it is today considered the only way of deliverance of humanity from destroying this only world we have for ourselves. You see, earlier sustainability used to imply that you are trying to economize on any structure and trying to extend its life. But today, sustainability covers everything. It is not only the quantities or the design facilities that you depend on. You have to consider sustainability at every stage of anything that you do, including, even distant ideas like water management, health management, and education. Everything is covering sustainability. Sustainability is a part of the United Nations goal for making this world livable for the future generation. And each of us owe our responsibility to the sustainability aspect, and particularly for engineers, and more so for civil engineers. You see, we are responsible for what we consider development. Any growth of civilization, any creation of infrastructure, civil engineers are very much involved, and therefore their responsibility becomes even larger. We have got to understand and own this responsibility and act at every stage for making this a sustainable world. What happened? Okay. Now, we are all mostly civil engineers here, and I am proud to be a civil engineer. Because civil engineering is one of the branches of engineering where you see what you design, conceive, or build physically, and you can see how it is behaving, and you can also decide how the next structure that you design or build can be improved. It is not true for many branches of engineering where they don't see visually what they are conceiving or designing. And today, with improved communication facilities with the rest of the world, civil engineers can be updated at the same stage as developed world engineers, and therefore can rank in the front place of civil engineering internationally or globally. And today, India is one of the largest developing country with maximum amount of construction planning in hand, and therefore the civil engineers all will be responsible to make this growth sustainable and make this growth friendly to the future climate. We have got to look after reduction of carbon footprint. We have to look after making structures which live longer and therefore delay new construction. We have to also repair and restore and rehabilitate structures which have suffered from some deterioration. One of the reasons, how does sustainability make difference to a structure? How do you make any structure or any new unit sustainable? It can only come out of the 4 pillars of sustainability. You have to have a good planning, of course. You have to plan such that the structure fits in the environment and contributes to the improvement of the environment. One has got to have good design and detailing, which is basic requirement for any engineering task. But civil engineers are related with construction, and it is the construction which determines how a structure will behave, how a structure will prosper, and how long a structure will live. Now, good construction depends on use of good material and also good workmanship. Without that, no structure can be sustainable. Then the more important thing is how much care you take during the use of the structure. We know how to make a good design, we know how to make a good construction, but we often don't know how to maintain a structure, how to make it live its life, or even beyond that. And that is what the civil engineers have got to learn today. And that is why my lecture will deliberate on a number of damages to structures, a number of decay of a structure, and where it has been successful. Because a civil engineer adds to the sustainability by extending its life as well. Now, post-construction, any structure requires care. And how can you give care? You should have a maintenance manual, which is often absent in our country particularly, but all over the world. I can tell you, I have been recently involved in a number of bridge structures in and around Calcutta, and there are cases where a bridge which has been constructed only 10 years back, you cannot find a single drawing or single book of design on that particular structure. So you have got to start blind. Either you have got to make measurements and from that assume what had been the design, and otherwise you have got to redesign the structure and check whether it has been built as per the design. This, there has to be, any structure which is built requires periodic inspection. An inspection for seeing how it is behaving, and that inspection report has to be valued, has to be used for carrying out repair and rectification. Any serious deterioration has got to be followed up by doing non-destructive testing, so that you can understand what is the residual life of the structure and what is the strength of the structure, so that you can think of a proper rehabilitation and retrofitting so that the structure can make to live longer. You must understand that when we increase the life of a structure, we contribute towards sustainability. To that extent, the new construction is delayed, and therefore use of new material, use of resources, use of engineering skill is delayed, and that can be used for better use and increase the sustainability of this world. Now, why I chose bridges as a focus? Because, as I mentioned, sustainability is a very wide scope and it can cover everything. But in a lecture like this, I thought, particularly for a professor who has devoted his life in the pursuit of this profession, it will be appropriate to discuss on a selected theme so that we can come into details. Now, bridges, why? Because of all the civil engineering structures which are very important and evident, bridge is one of them. You see, civil engineering important structures also include huge buildings, dams, water line, town infrastructure, but it is bridges which attracts the fascination of people, because it is something which is very evident and which is utilized by people directly, because people travel over a bridge. People don't travel over a dam or a building, they reside in a building. And bridges are important national assets because the discontinuation of a link of a road upsets the entire urban setting. And bridges, for any civil engineer, civil and structural engineer, it is bridges which offer the maximum challenges, and also by making a good bridge, one can contribute to the aesthetics of the surrounding. What happens with the disruption of a bridge? Unfortunately, we people in Calcutta are quite accustomed to see that, and we have all seen what happened when the Majerhat bridge collapsed, a bridge on a main artery road connecting the city with the southern suburbs. It collapsed all of a sudden, and people were just thrown out of gears because there are not too many crossings that could connect the city and the southern suburb. Now you can see in this picture that by implementing in emergency basis some bailey bridges across the canal which was separating the city and the southern suburb, one could bring back a semblance of traffic discipline, but that also by making the traffic one way. As you can see, this two-lane carriageway which has been created, the traffic is one way, and you can imagine what is happening to the traffic who had to come the other way. They had to go far off to have a crossing, and everybody in the southern suburb who had to travel to the city or go back, they had to add 1 hour to their travel time. So everybody was adding 2 hours to their daily routine for crossing this small canal. Now, it not only disrupts life, it also adds to the carbon footprint with long detours, with more usage of petrochemical, with loss of time for all the users, and disruption of even social harmony. Now, this is what we should keep in mind when we take responsibility for designing a vital structure, and we must have preparedness for same. I will show you a contra picture. This is our beloved Howrah Bridge. All of us have seen this. In our time, we used to cross it every time we had to go home. You are lucky, you don't have to cross over that bridge regularly. But you can see from the picture the underside of the bridge, the deck, which we can see, and you see the quality of the structure after 82 years of use. It has completed, it was inaugurated in February 1943. Already more than 81 years have passed, and it is in perfect shape, in good health. You can also see the elevation of the bridge, the structure, the geometric structure. All the truss members are in good shape. And why is this possible when it is not possible for other bridges? For the simple reason that the planners who planned this bridge, who conceived this bridge, they had taken care so that the maintenance of the bridge can be well looked after. Under the deck, right from beginning, there was a inspection trolley introduced, and that inspection trolley was used by a gang who used to inspect the underside of the bridge on regular basis. Same is true of the trusses, of the members. There are railings on every member, diagonal members and the chord members, so that workers can move freely and reach every joint, every point that needs to be inspected. Now, this care has created a structure of which we can even today be proud of. Unfortunately, there are not many structures like that where we can be so proud of a structure. I will show you some others of which we can hardly be proud of. These are also bridges in Calcutta, built much later, some of them only 25 to 30 years back. And you can see the underside. You can see the growth, the vegetation which has grown and which is coming above the railing, so one cannot say that he is not aware that the vegetation is there. Now, the people who are responsible for upkeep of the bridge had never bothered to go down and see what damage it is causing to the underside. You can see in the bottom picture, there are buildings, there are habitation under a bridge, and people are living their normal life. There are hotels, restaurants, people are preparing food, and all that smoke goes and damages the bridge. People who are using the bridge unsuspectingly do not know when they are going to meet the fate of Majerat Bridge, and the bridge collapses, and they also come down with that. Now, this is something which, if we ignore at the cost of sustainability. If one of these bridges, which are all critical part of the urban transport network in the city, any collapse, any disruption is going to throw our city life out of gears. And that is something, if we ignore at a large cost. Now, you see, talking about the failures of bridges, I just mentioned about Majerat Bridge, and I showed you some potential failures which can be caused if we don't take care from now itself. Now, failure has got two aspects. There are failures of bridges which are due to human factor, which are due to negligence, lack of care, or not being careful for the life of a bridge. There are also reasons which are beyond human control, as we called X factor. I will come to them, but failures of bridges can happen due to inadequate design, due to use of material which is under specification, due to poor workmanship, and during construction, not taking care on what are the chances of failure or instability. Failure due to poor negligence and maintenance, I just showed you some example, and failure due to ignorance. We often are designing a bridge without knowing about the latest developments, the latest findings which has come from research, and utilize them while designing a bridge. And as a result, when a failure comes, then comes the time for introspection. Then we do post-mortem, and then we understand where we have gone wrong. But while rest of the world, any failure is publicized, analyzed, and people have an opportunity to learn from them, in our country, we unfortunately try to hush it up. We try to do witch hunting, who can be made responsible, and we try to find out, who can be condemned, but we don't try to find out the reason and then give that lesson to the future generation for learning. I will show you a case which many of you will remember, the failure of the Vivekananda Road flyover, which was a ghastly failure, and where, people died. There was a huge cost to pay, and which had been right in front of us for a long time. Now, government has taken care of removing the entire structure so that people forget and perhaps forgive. And I must say that the pictures that I will show have mostly come from my colleague here, Mr. Amitabha Datta. He had taken many of these pictures, but I have used them to show you how right in front of us we have structures which are poorly constructed, potential failures, but we ignore. We keep ignoring them and not take care to repair. There is a very well-known failure. It happened one early morning. There is a composite construction bridge with steel girder, with concrete deck, which was composite. When the concreting was going on in one of the longer spans across the Shibpur road, early morning, the bridge collapsed. And why it collapsed got bare after the collapse, because everything was visible. As I mentioned, the steel girders, you can see the steel girders. It is 2 carriageway, one on the left, one on the right, and they were supposed to carry, the traffic both ways. And you can see the tower and the beam, cantilever beam, which is there supporting this structure. You can see big manholes have been made at a location. Since you are students of civil engineering, you can see that they are in a cantilever at the worst possible point, where the moment is maximum, where the bending moment is maximum. We have made holes for entry. They could have been done anywhere else. You can see in the column, just below the splice, you have got big holes. And unfortunately, those large holes are not even stiffened, not even made strong enough to resist the moment which is coming on them. And I can show you also just a little comparison. You can see 2 pictures. On the left is our Vivekananda Road flyover. On the right is the Ma flyover, which you can still see and inspect. You can see they are identical splices on the left side, and just look at the few number of bolts which have been used. In one phase there are at least 4 rows of bolt, but in another phase there is hardly 2 lines of bolt. Comparison, if you take the Ma flyover splice, just see there are at least 4 times number of bolts, and all very well driven bolts. The bolts on this the fallen bridge were only 16 millimeter diameter. Nobody uses anything less than 20 millimeter in a structure, and even then 16 millimeter was used. Why they are used is a sordid story. I had an opportunity of examining the design. Somebody had made a mistake in calculating the strength of a bolt. Instead of 4 tons for a bolt, he has calculated 40 tons, and accordingly reduced. It's a decimal mistake, and accordingly they have put so few bolts and thought that the bridge will be safe. But the agony of the matter is that we, so many other engineers, have also passed by this construction while it is being done. Nobody looked at it intently and tried to caution or tried to recheck. And again, another sad thing is these were not unchecked drawings. These were all the calculation and the drawings have been checked, I am sorry to say, by renowned professors of a renowned university, and not 1 but 2 persons have checked. Every drawing had signature, stamped signature of 4 to 5 people, the designer, the department head, the proof checker, and the second proof checker. These are the minimum, and in some cases also there was a second signature of the designer of the client. Just shows how negligent we are about the potential life of a structure and the potential danger. You can see it was not that people did not realize that it is defective. You can see in this picture, one of the cantilever beams had started deflecting. So what precaution has been taken? They just put stiffeners or brackets, plates, which have been welded. You can see they have been welded afterwards, after the splice had been done, through the row of the bolts, and the welding had been done. Even after that, it was not very comfortable. So on the right picture, you can see they have put some steel bar across the compression flange of those plates. Now, it's not that we were unaware. We were aware that something is wrong, but even then, a thorough check was not done. And, again, some of the you can see I was talking to you about those holes, manholes. There's no stiffener. It is a fundamental basic rule whenever you make a opening in a steel structure, you must stiffen the corners. You must stiffen the edges so that there is no buckling. Now here there is no stiffener. They are clear. You can see from the beam that there is large gap between the beam and the column. These are all visible telltale pictures of which no care has been taken. And as a result, who pays the price? We, the citizens. And here is a poor taxi driver who had parked his vehicle after the whole night's work and been sleeping there, and he gets killed. Are not all of us engineers morally responsible for such deaths? We are, and we should be ashamed. But, see, fact remains that even after such failure happening in front of us, we are trying to hush it up. Not one person has been accused of this failure. They have been protected, and they are allowed to function in the same manner. They are allowed to function without any care. And I know of other cases where similar failure may occur. Now, I mentioned about the human factor. Now, there are other factors which are not directly under human control, but they do cause failures in bridges. And they are all impediments for sustainability. You see, the changes in loading. You see, one designs a bridge for a certain loading. In railways, you know, wagons have got certain axle load, but then people, to increase efficiency, increase the axle load in the wagon without checking the design of the bridge. We had lorries earlier carrying only 10 tons to 14 tons. Today we have lorries which carry 28 tons, 30 tons. Again, the axle load is increased, and we seldom check back a design whether it is capable of taking that. There are cases where the clearance dimension of the vehicles passing are increased. Is best understood in case of a railway bridge. You know, when railway made electrification, what did they do? They hung the power wire. The wire which was hanging occupied certain portion of the open space in the bridge, and therefore there was infringement. Oh, thank you so much. Then there are changes in design criteria due to knowledge upgrade. You know, every failure in a bridge teaches us something. And classically, there have been failures which have taught humanity how to design a safer aerodynamic bridge, how to design a safer box girder. But before it has happened, one is not conscious of what can be causing the failures. Then there are deterioration due to environment factor. I will show you some cases. Then there are external unexpected forces which are imposed, for which a bridge had not been designed, it could not be conceived, but it has happened. I will just show you a few case studies. And, you know, first one that I am going to show you is the failure of the Kobe flyover in Japan. Japan is a country which is extremely conscious about the effect of earthquake because they suffer the most. They had the greatest earthquakes. And they have the money for research. They have the money for taking precautionary strengthening. But even then it happened in Kobe in 1995, not very long back. And the knowledge on earthquake, human knowledge on earthquake is still today incomplete. We are still learning about the various waves that can happen, about the intensity that can happen, and therefore we cannot take full precaution for same. And this taught Kobe, as also the rest of the world, of what variation in wave transmission can happen in an earthquake, and henceforth the designs have accounted for that. You can see this bridge, I don't know whether it is visible, but you can see the amount of reinforcement which is there in the column is quite large. They had taken a lot of precaution, but enough was not enough, and they had suffered this problem. Similarly, I am showing you another. Again, this is a known structure very close to you. This is the Bankim Setu across Howrah Bridge, a Howrah station, through which many of us have passed. And you can see in the bottom picture on the left-hand side, the trains are standing. This is across the platform. It is very visible, this bridge. You know, Shatabdi and Rajdhani, all crack trains start from exactly this point where this type of, what you are seeing are not just wire, not just, you know, cables for television or for video, but these are all pre-stressing wires. They were supposed to strengthen the girder. They are part of the girder's design, these pre-stressing wires. And you can see on the right that how it is happening. The bottom concrete is just falling off. It's just like plaster. It is not like concrete at all. And the repair was very difficult because there was no provision for maintenance. The girders were facing each other. Nobody could go inside and change the pre-stressing wire. So what had to be done is external pre-stressing. You can see on the bottom right picture that we have put clamps from which pre-stressing has been done, and the damaged pre-stressing wire has been replaced by external pre-stressing. You can see on the picture on the... Eta ache? Where is the pointer? Oh, I am so sorry. Acha, pechon dike. I have got to point like this, is it? Okay, okay. You can see, can you see the point? Huh? Oh, acha. Well, you can see this is the you know, external pre-stressing done with cleats coming out from the wave, and these are the external pre-stressing cables which have made this bridge last, even today. It is more than 20 years that these repairs have been done, and today railways are thinking of replacing these girders after 20 years, because as consultants we had given the assurance that it will survive for 20 years. So now they are thinking of replacing it. And by repairing, engineers have ensured longer life by 20 years. So the new construction is going to take place after 25 years. Now this is a great boon for sustainability, because if we had to make a new bridge earlier, we would have consumed so much material, so much resources for getting this service. So it is by retrofitting and replacing that consultants can help the sustainability issue. I will just show you a little more, because there is a bridge very close to, You see, this is the cross section of the girder. There are 9 girders pre-stressed, and they are side by side. Oh, they got changed. Just a minute. Yeah, these are the girders. And if you see the cross section of the girders, this is the elevation of the girder on the top. Those are the pre-stressed cables which are passing through. And if you see the cross section on the right, there are 22 pre-stressing cables in each girder. And these 22 cables, you can see, have been arranged in a very neat manner. But unfortunately, the gap between the cables, as you can see, is only 30 millimeter. Now 30 millimeter gap, and for a height of 94 millimeter, the cable height is, because the cables are 47 millimeter dia, when you pour concrete from the top, it just did not pass through. They formed arch, and only the mortar, only the latents went down. So there, all that was left below the wear was latents and not concrete. And that is what caused the deterioration of those cables. And as a result, you know, the whole girder became like that. It is just fortuitous that it did not collapse on one of those Rajda. I always used to tell the railway general manager that you are delaying this, and one day a girder is going to collapse. Hopefully there will be a minister, and then you will be hauled. Only after giving them threat like that, that action was taken to undertake the repair work. This is another picture of a natural decay which was much beyond human factor. This is an environmental decay. This is the Khidirpur bridge which leads to the Diamond Harbour Road, one of the artery roads to Khidirpur. It's a steel truss. From the outside looks very good, more than 100 years. But if you look at the roof, at the top of the cord, 20 millimeter of metal thickness has been eaten away, and all the rivets are missing, and this is not a human doing. This is vulture sheet. You know, it used to be a resting place for vultures, because the carcasses which used to come by the canal from Calcutta, they used to get stuck with the log gate there, and that's why vultures found this very comfortable place for getting their food. And vulture sheet is considered one of the most corrosive material, and that took away 20 millimeter thickness of the top plate in the process. And nobody noticed till we went for inspection. You know, that's the unfortunate situation with our bridges, which are important structure. I had also mentioned that apart from such reasons, there are reasons which are never factored for, like what damage to a bridge. I will show you that famous Hardinge Bridge in Bangladesh, which suffered very difficult damages during the war. You can see on the top left picture that a span has collapsed, and below that you can see the span which has fallen down. You know, there were dynamite fixed on the cord and the diagonals, and they went off or they were exploded, and the span just fell down, nose-dived into the water. The other picture on the right shows an even worse damage. It is the central span. It was a 15-span bridge, and this was the 9th span. A missile attack was there on the bridge. You know, somebody's accurate shelling had landed on the center of the bridge, and as you can see, it took away 70 feet or 24 meters of bottom cord on one side, and the diagonals on one side, and the deck is entirely missing. The bridge did not fall down. The bridge did not, you know, sort of get toppled, even though it had deflected and it had tilted. But it was possible for engineers to undertake repair. A very unusual state of repair could be item for another talk. But what happened is engineers did repair that within a period of 6 months, and it was a moment of glory for the Indian engineering profession, because all other developed countries like USA and UK had said it cannot be repaired. By repairing this, that bridge is still today functioning. It celebrated its centenary in 2014, and it is even today functioning, carrying 2 tracks of broad gauge. So by this sort of a repair rehabilitation, one can contribute to sustainability, one can contribute to the Earth's meager resources, and one can increase the length of every structure that we have built. I will just show 2 more failures. Again, all in around Calcutta. All of us are traveling all this. This is the Ultodaga flyover failure, where a wrong drawing and a wrong placement of bearings, you know, uplift bearing, the tension bearing placed in the place of compression bearing. The bearings were reversed, and that's why the span toppled when a single lorry came and hit on the parapet at night. Fortunately, you know, when the loads for other vehicles were there, it was not toppling because there was some restoring moment. But when a single lorry came and hit the parapet, the bridge toppled and fell down. The other which you can see is the famous Majerat Bridge failure, where the span collapsed, and you know why? Because people went on adding wearing coat. You know, the design provided only 20 millimeter of wearing coat, and instead, when the span collapsed, it had something like 400 millimeter of wearing coat, because every time the surface was damaged, somebody would put some more wearing coat for VIPs to pass quickly. And that's what caused the damage. So what we learned, you know, I do not know whether I have been able to explain enough to you the importance of engineering for sustainability, because it is we engineers who can contribute to the sustainability of the infrastructure that has been built. You know, we can train our engineers with all these cases of failure and let them learn from it. We can guide the authorities on preventive action and for planning corrective action in time before the failures happen. I showed you the Rabindra Setu or the Howrah Bridge. I did not mention why is that bridge so different. You know, there is a simple action which had been taken by the Howrah Bridge Act, which was enacted in 1907. They provided that when the bridge is constructed, all the citizens of Howrah and Calcutta will have to pay certain tax. So even today, those who live in Calcutta and Howrah will know that their municipal bill, tax bill, when it comes, there is a small element of Howrah Bridge tax. And every train that enters Howrah station from outside has got an additional surcharge for the Howrah Bridge. That is why the tickets from Calcutta to Delhi and Delhi to Calcutta are not same. The Delhi to Calcutta is slightly higher because of the Howrah Bridge tax. Now, all this money had been poured into a escrow account in Calcutta port, and they have the money to maintain a wing for maintenance of Howrah Bridge, led by a deputy chief engineer, executive engineer, and assistant engineer, and a team of workers. So provision has been made for maintenance. You would not find that in so many structures that we see around. Even the buildings we live in does not have a fund provided for maintenance. All of us fight whenever, you know, our society asks for maintenance, because we have paid for the construction, but we never like to pay for the maintenance. And by educating the authorities, by making this claim that maintenance must be done properly, and we must have a systematic inspection, testing, and corrective action formulation, and by identifying areas of potential failure and proof checking of affected structure, we can certainly contribute by increasing the sustainability. And what are the areas, whatever I have talked so far, what are the areas that require close watch? One is the changes in codal provision. You know, codes are changing. I will give you an interesting case. I was responsible for design of the first bridge across Brahmaputra Bridge, designed in 1960. And at that time, we followed by following the codes, we adopted a coefficient of G by 16, okay? 0.06 times the weight. Now the same river, the next bridge at Bongaigaon railway bridge, when he did, it was no more G by 16, it was G by 8. So 0.12 of weight, that was the coefficient. Now we had been designing the bridges in Manipur and northeast states, the railway line, new railway line. Spectrum specific coefficients, earthquake coefficients have been found out, and now we are adopting 0.28. So we had done 0.06, we had done 0.12, and we are doing 0.28. This is the price we pay for learning and from research. But one should be cautious and one should try to utilize that knowledge not only for the new structure but also for the old structures. Then awareness is a very important issue. That is why continuous learning process is important for engineers, important even for the authorities. And one has got to update the design with the new research findings. If that had been done, Kobe earthquake would not have damaged the viaduct as you saw, you know. And you see, I went through the statistics of failures, an analysis of failure statistics. Some interesting findings come. You see, highway bridges are more prone than the railway bridges. Why? Because railway bridges are better maintained. Railways have a regular system of maintenance. They have an inspector of works, they have a bridge inspector, regularly inspecting their bridges and their track. The steel bridges have less failure than concrete bridges. Again, why? Because concrete is a brittle material. The failure is sudden. Whereas in a steel bridge, which is ductile material, the failure gives notice. You will get notice before the actual failure takes place. Girder bridges have more failures than longer span. Again, in a longer span, it is the dead load which rules. You see, the live load is less than the dead load. But in a shorter span, it is the live load which controls the design. Now, when your dead load is ruling, so automatically your bridge, if it is safe in dead load, even with a little overload of live load, it will not fail. It may have overstress, but it would not fail. Age of a bridge at failure reflects the disparity in the patterns. You see, if you see the various failures, then you can understand that. Causes of failure show substantial effect of human factor. You know, there are X factors, but more failures happen because of human factor. And failure during construction, as has happened in the case of the Vivekananda flyover you saw, it shows lack of care, lack of, involvement of those who are supervising and those who are in charge of the bridge. It is sad, but it is true. Okay, thank you very much. I have concluded my speech and I have given some acknowledgement for people who have helped. I, of course, acknowledge Mr. Amitabha Datta's picture, which made the poster failure very much more, sort of understandable. And it's one of the cases where we could do post-mortem. And I dedicate this lecture to the memory of Professor Ray, who had been such a passionate professional engineer. Thank you very much. Sure. If anybody has anything to learn or ask or doubt, you are free to ask me.
If there are any queries from the audience, you can ask.
Chaitanya, I would like to ask a question, if I may.
We have a question from our audience joined online.
Okay. Can you read?
Chaitanya, can you hear me?
From the audience, colleagues present here,
Please.
if you are having any question, you can ask
Yes,
Mr.
Prashant, you have
Mr. Ghoshal.
Chaitali, this is Dr. Praveen Yogi speaking. Can you hear me?
All the seniors and dignitaries and my juniors, and I think I'm now quite senior to address a crowd.
A little louder.
Bridge. There are two factors of today's lecture. Yesterday only I was sitting with Amitabha. One is Pradip, who also taught us. I am one of the very senior students who learnt from Pradip in his classes. And I fondly remember all his lectures and his affectionate attitude to young students. Then he was also young and always enthusiastic and would pamper us in all our creative activities. So was Pradip. The second is the bridge. Although I am an architect, I was made an architect by all civil engineers. Such was BE College. All my teachers, I fondly remember, were civil engineers who made us architects. Regarding this bridge, we learned that a bridge not only connects two disconnected spaces separated by nature or other factors, a bridge can immediately make two spaces connected and the entire land dynamics changes on both sides. This is the practical thing about the bridge. And secondly, we were taught that a bridge is a very aesthetic design, and we were taught in the classes about the bridges made by Robert Mayer, our bridges that our PWD seniors had made over Tista. And in most cases, a bridge is one of the landmarks of that area, which as an architect planner, we learned that a bridge not only changes the land dynamics, it changes the entire skyline of the area. So today's topic was very much liked by all of us and very much relevant. And I'm thankful to Amitabha and Shyamada for inviting me for this lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fortunately, there is no question for me, so I don't have to answer.
I do not have any question, but I want to make a suggestion here. I just want to make a suggestion here. You see, actually, Amitabha has opened up one area. You see, actually, those who have worked, they have seen there are many cases of failures. And also, definitely, there are many potential failures could be arrested by timely intervention of a knowledgeable and experienced engineer. My suggestion is this: in the curriculum, how a structure fail, this should be an important part of the curriculum. You see, actually one has to know this practical aspect. This is very important for an engineer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other question? I think no, sir.
For serious students of structural engineering, I may just inform you that there is an organization called IIESTShibpur, Indian Association of Structural Engineers. They run a newspaper, or not a newspaper, just a bulletin every 2 months, which is called Crossfall, where people are invited to talk about failures without mentioning the name of the bridge or the designers. So they try to analyze the failures which have occurred and why and how it could have been avoided. So those who are seriously pursuing structural engineering, they may think of becoming a member and contribute to that newsletter or study that newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure that the ideas and views shared during the lecture is going to enrich the young minds. Now, Head of the Department, Professor Choitali Ray, will hand over a memento to the speaker, Mr. Amitabha Ghoshal. Sorry. President of GAABESU and Professor Choitali Ray, Head of the Department, both will hand over the memento together.
Thank you very much. I only hope that my talk was relevant and could give you some insight on the theme of sustainability. Thank you.
There is an announcement from GAABESU President. He will brief you about it now.
It's just an announcement. I thought I will take this opportunity. You know, on 20th of February this month, at 5:30 p.m., there will be a debate in the memory of, actually 1957, Dr. Arun Dev and Mr. Ghoshal, their batchmate, Formesor Memorial Debate Competition. This is a competition. So the date scheduled is 28th of February, time is 5:30. Venue is not yet decided, but venue will be within the campus somewhere. And you existing present students are requested to contact your debate club, you know, IIST debate club. Please contact anybody is interested in participating in that. So you are all welcome. Okay? Thank you.
Now I will call upon Mr. Prosenjit Chakraborty, Secretary of GAABESU, for vote of thanks.
Good evening to you all. My name is Prosenjit Chakraborty. I am a graduate of B College from 1987, and I am here as GAABESU Secretary. But I am not a civilian. I am from electrical, and very few non-civilians are here, so I am one of them. Yes. Before I say the vote of thanks, I just want to mention that I knew Dr. P.K. Roy outside civil department. He was a regular visitor in our athletic club, and he belongs to Chinsura, my own place. He was from my school, and we had many associations, and at that time in college, we used to say there is not a single group of people or any association where Dr. P.K. Roy is not a member or not a secretary. And one time he personally told me that there is an association in B College which is named as Danpag. In expansion is Duniyar Pago Lekho, means all mad people come together. So even he was a secretary of that association also. And Danpag, Duniyar Pago Lekho. And they had a motto also. Similarly, even there was a small astronomical society of B College, and Pradip Rai was a secretary to that also. So he was in all the fields everywhere. Very unfortunately, I had seen last 10-15 days of his life very closely. I was there on the day he passed out. And actually, Bodhi informed me at 2:30 at night. Actually, he passed out around 2 o'clock. And within half an hour, I was informed, and I saw him at around 4 o'clock, early in the morning. And the severe pain that he was going through for the last 2 months, within 4 or 5 hours after his death, the signs of pain subsided. Somehow, I don't know how it happened, but the pain that was very evident in his face for last nearly 2 months, that has subsided after nearly 4 hours after his death. He was a very jolly person, means he could make poems automatically on anybody. He was famous for that thing in school, in college, B college, he used to make. And from GAABESU, just before he passed away, we made a magazine on him, one alumni link, which was mostly handwritten, and it was published and it was handed over to him personally, just I think 2-3 days before his death. So I knew him, and he's not there. He's from my place, from my school, from my college. And now I propose the vote of thanks. My first thanks should go to the director in charge, Professor Kumar Nondi. Then I should thank HOD Civil for arranging this along with GAABESU. Amitabha, Ghoshal, Amitabha Datta, Professor Arun Dev, and all our dignitaries, Shamada, my teacher, Professor Alok Das, all present dignitaries and students and faculty members of Civil Department, the classmates of Sir. Just before I passed out, Bodhi told me that no longer Sir, you can call him Pradip Da. But I never called him Pradip Da. I used to call him Sir from my college days, and it remained. Thanks to all of you for arranging this. It was a grand success. So many students attended. And I request all of you, if you are going to pass out, come and join GAABESU. That will help the future students. Thank you. Thanks for attending. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. The seminar comes to the end here.
Thank you very much. এই প্রিন্ট আউটটা হয়তো পড়া যায় না, বড্ড ছোট, ঠিক আছে। সেই তো আমি তোমায় কোশ্চেন করতে চাইছিলাম যে তুমি 5 মিনিট থাকবে বলেছিলে, এতক্ষণ থেকে গেলে কেন?
Please don't go. There will be a group photo. There will be a group photo with the speaker. All the students are requested to stay here for the group photo. Okay. Please.